Hi, I'm Jared with Fun Science Demos, and we're back with another science story. In the book Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, a boy goes into the woods on a snowy night to see if they can find an owl. And that's where our science begins. In the book, the boy and his dad actually call in an owl, and it might have sounded something like this. Now, there are about 250 different types of owls in the world, and we don't have any of those owls in our studio. But we do have something that owls leave in the forest every day, right here on our plate. So we have two little wrapped treasures from owls right here, different sizes. Let's unwrap them and see what they are. The first bigger one. And then a smaller one. We've zoomed in so you can take a closer look, but you can see they're brown. It almost looks like there's hair in this. And this comes from an owl. So what is it? Owls are birds of prey that have a unique way of eating and digesting food. When an owl eats a mouse, it swallows the mouse whole, and it digests what it can from the mouse, but there are parts of the mouse that the owl cannot digest, things like hair and bones. The owl has to regurgitate and throw up that part that he can't digest out of his body. And when the owl throws up the parts of the mouse it can't digest, an owl pellet is born. These are owl pellets, and a lot of times kids think owl pellets are owl poop. That's not the case. These are parts of an animal that an owl has eaten that has been thrown up and left in the woods. And you can see it looks a lot kind of like a mouse because I have all of the hair, and inside, I also have the bones, and that's where the fun comes in. And believe it or not, you can buy owl pellets online. Today, we're going to take a closer look at how we're going to search for those bones and tell you what kind of bones they are. Now, the nice part about dissecting an owl pellet is you don't need any special tools. You could use toothpicks or popsicle sticks or skewers or even a pencil. And the other nice thing is that when you buy an owl pellet online, they're going to be sterilized, which means they don't have any germs or bacteria on them. So you can handle them without gloves. If it grosses you out, you can use gloves, and it's always a good idea to wash your hands after you've dissected everything. But we're ready to jump in. So where do we start? Well, I like to start by breaking the owl pellet in half and just pulling it apart into big chunks. And you'll see right away, wow, I have some bones spilling out and I have a lot of hair. And I like to just set one half aside and work with one half at a time. And the bones will start falling out, and you want to start pulling the bones apart from all the hair. So a few bones here actually fell out of the owl pellet just by pulling it apart. And you can see the bones are really, really tiny. We're going to put them over here so you can see them better. But now, what I find is the best way is to try to actually unroll the owl pellet. The way the hair is kind of matted down is you can flatten it out. And I find by flattening it out, you can see some bigger bones. Here's a really nice sized bone right there. And then I can also see some of the bones might be broken into small little pieces and fragments. So I'm going to use my pointed tip here to really start separating the hair. Ooh, this is a nice one. You can see if I put this through a toothpick, there's actually a hole down the center of this bone, and this is a part of the vertebrae. And that hole is where the spinal cord would go through that bone. The one thing you'll notice right away is the bones are not just different sizes, but they look differently. Some are long and thin, some are thicker, some are short. And you really want to take your time and use the pointed end to just pull parts of the fur and the hair aside to make sure you're not missing any little bone fragments. Now, the one thing you will find is that parts of the fur and hair might be matted and really hard to pick apart. I know there's a bone in here somewhere, and if that hair doesn't want to come off, another tool you can use is water. Now, not a lot of water because you don't want to have a swampy mess, but just drop a few drops of water onto the the hair and the fur. Let it soak in. Use your point of the skewer. You're going to see the water's going to soften up anything that might be matted and hard and help you pull apart and clean any little bone that you might find. Help you set aside. Now, when you add water, you're going to notice that it may not smell the best. So I think the grosser the better sometimes, but I'm ready for the next chunk. So now I'm going to start to pull this apart. You want to be careful because some of these bones are fragile. So now I'm going to use my pointer and I have a bigger bone here. Yeah. You'll notice we haven't found any skulls yet. So you want to be careful. Pull this apart gently and see if you can find some skulls, some bigger leg bones here. This is perfect. Take a closer look at that in a second. Take your time to clean everything off. It looks like this half has a lot of big bones in it. I'm going to take my time to pull all these bones out. Another big section of bone. Now, so far I've just focused on pulling out the bigger bones, but there are so many tiny, tiny bones that I still need to take the time to pull out these tiny, tiny rib bones. In this case, this owl pellet did not have a skull. We want to bring in a skull from another owl pellet so you can see what that skull would look like. So we're going to do that right now. Now, to give you an idea as to some of the different types of skulls you might find in different owl pellets, we went ahead and dissected a few different owl pellets to give you some idea here. Some of the skulls are broken, some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. You'll notice the eye sockets are different. So that's because it could be a vole, it could be a mouse, it could be a mole. Owls eat a lot of different things. And you really want to take a look at not just the skull, not just the eye sockets, but also the teeth. You know, mice are rodents, so they gnaw and chew things, so the teeth are going to look different from something that might eat insects. And you really can take a closer look. Here, in this case, you can see the hair is really not coming out well, so I'm going to add some water to that skull to soften some things up. Now go in, take your time. They call it an owl pellet dissection because you can take your time. And once you have the bones separated, you can start to see how they might go together. This is one half of a lower jaw, and in the animal, those two halves will actually be connected at the front lower teeth, just like that. And that lower jaw will actually go into the top half of the skull. I'm going to try and fit it together, and you can see now I see the animal starting to take shape. I have the lower jaw, the upper part of the skull, and that's how that mouse would have looked if we try and fit it back together. Now when we look back at the other bones we found, we started to organize them. Up front we have the vertebrae. Those would be hollow and the spinal cord would go through them. We have some rib bones here, some tiny bones that might be in the feet. Then we have some bigger leg bones that we have organized back here. And this is really interesting. You can see this socket, which tells me it's a pelvis or hip bone. And then the upper leg bone is going to go into that. So I have a little ball on the end of this bone that should fit right in that socket, and that's a joint that would allow that animal to move and run. It's so cool how you can start to actually reassemble the skeleton of what the owl has eaten. Now, to help us further organize all of these bones, we downloaded some bone charts from online. We decided to go with Nature Watch for our two bone charts. And what we like about these is you can organize the individual bones into all these categories, or you could even try to start piecing them together to form that mouse or mole or vole or shrew. And you can see I can take my lower jaw here and match it up and put it right in the categories. I can see some of my rib bones here, and I look down here for ribs and see which ones match the best. Really thin, small, tiny bones I'm gonna grab. I really like how you can organize them right on the piece of paper I have some skulls that I could try to match up, and you can see rodents, moles, shrews, birds. Owls even eat birds. Sometimes an owl might even eat a bat. Parts of skulls. Try and match it up. And then I get into my back legs and my hips. So I know this is a hip because there's the socket that we were talking about. Here's another hip, and you can see they're different sizes, which means they came from different animals. Now I get into the back legs, and you can see tiny little parts of bones that I can start matching up and finding. Look carefully at how they all get matched. Or I could start trying to assemble the skeleton over here with all these different vertebrae, where they would fit if they were put together like a puzzle. We've linked to all of these resources in the description below. Owl pellets may look like a ball of fur, but they're so much more than that. So grab a copy of Owl Moon, read the story, order some owl pellets online, and pull them apart to see what kind of animals you can find inside your owl pellets. And best of all, tell us what you find in your owl pellets in the comments below. If you want to learn more about animals and nature, check out our YouTube channel, Fun Science Demos. Science is so cool, especially when you get to pull something apart and discover. Thanks for watching. Oh, I found a skull. Good stuff.